Well, thank you, Sandy, my lifelong mentor. When I arrived in the world, Sandy was there. I don't know if you noticed that picture of two of us when we were kids. He had his arm around me, but you may have noticed that I had sort of a cut above my eye. That was the last time he hit me. I tease him a lot about that picture because we don't know where that cut came from. By the way, I not only thank Sandy for a lifetime of being the greatest big brother anybody could ever have, but also I thank him for being just a fabulous mentor. And by the way, John McCain thanks you too, Sandy, for all the fine quotes and words. I'll tell John that he was quoted 6 times at a Democratic dinner, and if he had any political career ahead of him, he has just lost his political career. You know, my brother is the top Democrat on the Ways and Means Committee in the House of Representatives. And he's been mighty busy these last months fighting the crucial fight for fair trade. He knows that what is packaged and labeled as free trade isn't free if you let the other guys continue to discriminate against American goods, especially against our manufactured goods, where the discrimination has been so deep and so long and so foolishly tolerated. Sandy knows that trade isn't free or fair if it allows other governments to subsidize their goods, and if their workers aren't guaranteed the right to organize for safe workplaces and for decent wages. And Sandy is telling everybody in Washington and across the country that if a so-called free trade agreement tolerates that unlevel playing field, that it isn't free, that trade agreement would be damn costly. And Sandy has had the courage to say exactly that to the President of the United States. Thank you, Michigan Dems, for the honor that you've given me tonight, but truly you've been honoring me for over 36 years. 36 years ago, plus, Michigan Dems carried me to an upset victory, and you've honored me through thick and thin ever since. With your loyalty and support, even at those times when you might have disagreed with me. With your trust, the greatest gift that a politician can be given. More than that, you have steadfastly, through the decades, honored the great principles of our party, that in so many ways, government can make a positive difference in our lives. You fought for educational opportunity. You fought to end discrimination of all kinds. You fought for universal health care. And how shameful it is that it took so many decades for us to finally take a major step towards universal health care called Obamacare. And John Dingell and his father before him had a whole lot to do with the fact that finally, at long last, we're ending the shame that not all of us are covered. And you Democrats have fought for a decent minimum wage. You fought for voting rights. And, you know, all the efforts of the Republicans to restrict voting rights in so many ways of our people, mainly African Americans, I have never known a Democrat that has tried to restrict anybody's voting rights. We have fought for voting rights. It's the other party that has tried to restrict the voting rights of the American people. And you Democrats have fought for the right of workers to form and to maintain unions. You have fought for women's reproductive rights. You have supported those who wear the uniform of our country. and their families, and our veterans, and those who carry the scars of battle. We've learned the great lesson of Vietnam. Never again will we take out our differences over policy on the men and women who put the uniform of our country on. We are going to support our men and women in uniform. And you have fought for a fairer tax system to close those horrific loopholes which allow the most profitable corporations to avoid paying taxes by transferring their profits and the intellectual property that is produced here in America to their own shell corporation subsidiaries and tax havens. You have supported our efforts to end the absurdity of those kind of loopholes which cost our Treasury so much money. You've supported closing the income gap. And those loopholes that I referred to help to create that income gap, a gap which is massive, unhealthy, and that closing it is essential so that the middle class can begin to grow again. And that issue, closing that income gap, is going to be a centerpiece of next year's presidential campaign. It's frosting on the cake to be here with John Dingell and Debbie Dingell tonight. Sandy's explained why, John Dingell's explained why, Debbie Dingell has explained why. The long relationship between our families. Our families were friends and were partners in politics long before Sandy and I sought elective office. We've treasured and always tried to honor that relationship. It's gotten to the point where John, when he talks about the lovely Deborah, has gotten me to the point now where I introduce my wife as the lovely Barbara. So my wife of 53 plus years, the lovely Barbara, in honor of John Dingell. I'm even calling my brother Sandor now, the way John Dingell's called Sandy Sandor for all these decades. The D in Barb's and my DNA stands for Democrat, so be assured that it's been passed on to our kids as Sandy has passed his DNA with the big D to his kids. Barb and I thank you for all of the personal friendships and the support through the years. We're looking forward to being back full-time to this boomtown, hometown of ours, the town we love so much, Detroit. My friends and my fellow Democrats, it's been a great ride, and it's been great riding with you, and the ride's not over. Thank you.